Throw Momma from the Train is a 1987 movie starring Billy Crystal and
Donut DeVito.
Donut DeVito. Donut fucking DeVito.
Donut DeVito.
Okay.
He looks like a donut.
Billy Crystal is an author with a cruel ex-wife, Margaret. And Larry teaches a writing workshop where Owen, played by Danny DeVito, is a student. And Owen has problems with his mama. Larry, meanwhile, had his book stolen by his ex-wife. So when they're trying to have a conversation about how to write a murder mystery, Owen misunderstands and sees a Hitchcock movie that leads him to believe that Larry wanted him to swap murders the whole time. And shenanigans ensue.
Welcome back to the show, everyone.
Yo, yo, yo.
Been a while. We're in a new place. Where are we? This doesn't look the same. Where's the Commando poster?
We're under CDC quarantine right now.
They isolated us in this area. We can't make any human contact.
We're locked in a bomb shelter.
Worse.
20 floors below sea level.
They only gave us a Blu Ray player and a copy of Danny DeVito's Throw Momma from the Train. This was my first time watching this movie in a very long time. I remember parts of it from when I was growing up, but I don't remember a lot of it, so it was a very wonderful experience for me.
I watched this movie a million times growing up. In my opinion, it's Danny DeVito at his best. Second only to him playing Frank Reynolds.
Renowned actor, director, Donut DeVito.
Danny fucking DeVito, man. His first directorial debut, actually.
It's really impressive for a directorial debut.
Yeah, it was a hell of a ride.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's definitely unexpected. Thought it was going to be more extreme at times. The whole time you're kind of just like, what's going to happen?
Yeah.
I don't know. But the performances definitely are the best part of the movie. I think it's definitely Danny DeVito and his mom.
Yeah,
for sure.
Their dynamic is wonderful.
Mm-hmm. She's like an absolute fucking nutcase.
And just the times, you know, when she slaps him, there's no way they can fake those shots. She just hauls off and just gets a handful of his face every time.
Owen, give me a Pepsi.
Apparently, Anne Ramsey, the lady who plays Mama, she just had like throat surgery before that. And Danny DeVito was like, he ran into her somewhere and heard her talk, and he said, "You gotta play Mama in this movie."
And then she went on to do Goonies. Yeah, it's crazy.
Was that after this? Was Goonies after?
We don't do any research.
How
the fuck do I know?
I think Goonies was after
Goonies
this.
should have
This
been
came out
after.
in 87. I think
Yeah.
Goonies came out in 88 or 89.
88 or 89. Look it up. IMDb.
Don't quote me.
Don't quote me on it. Cinematography by Barry Sonnenfeld from Men in Black series. Director of Men in Black. No, Barry Sonnenfeld's a great cinematographer. This movie actually looks really good.
It does.
Yeah, I was impressed. So, let's get into it. We start off the movie. We're introduced to Billy William Crystal in his office trying to type the first line of his new novel.
Yeah.
And he is not having much success. He's constantly, he's saying, the night was, and he just can't figure it out after that. And getting very flustered. He turns on Oprah, which it says guest appearance by Oprah Winfrey.
Yeah,
it's just
that's
like
great.
her fucking talk show.
I think that opening scene is great.
It is. It's really good.
You have a movie like this with a weird premise, and the question is, they actually address the question multiple times. Like, how do you start off the story like this?
Mm-hmm.
How do you start it off? The perfect way to start it off is to have a writer who doesn't know how to start a story. It's kind of a cop-out, but at the same time, it's creative and hilarious.
Yeah, it's really well done. And yeah, so then he turns on the TV, and Oprah's interviewing this woman who we find out is his ex-wife, who he cannot stand because she stole his life's work, essentially, his magnum opus, and published it as her own book.
Hot fire.
So yeah, he's on there, and he keeps, "You're a slut." Just refers to her as a slut over and over and over again.
Privacy, and there's just you facing you in that mirror. Do you say, "Margaret, you did it"? Yes, I do.
Slut! She's a slut!
Look at her slut!
This are on TV, and he pretty much in a boiled down way, he just says, "I'm ready to kill this bitch." Like. And then we jump over to his class that he teaches at the community college.
No, go straight to Mama. She was watching
Don't
the
ask
same
me
show.
to guide the movie, god damn it!
Mama was watching Oprah too.
Want it back! Evan! Evan!
Because it cuts right over to her.
Yeah. So she yells at Owen to get her a soda with some ice in it.
It's a Pepsi.
Get me a Pepsi.
She's so great. It's hard not to laugh every time she talks.
Oh yeah. And Danny DeVito playing the Mama's boy is just so great.
Yeah, he's got like a crew neck sweater on with cows on it. She's like, "Go get me a Pepsi with ice." And so he goes over there and the camera just kind of cuts over and you see a box of lye there and he's like going down through to find the Pepsi and he pulls it up and he just looks straight up. Eye contact with the lye box. Comes over, pours a little bit into... Also, who drinks fucking Pepsi out of like a tea glass?
That's like fine china.
Yeah, it's like fine china. Puts the ice cubes in.
Hey, Mama's got good taste.
She does, apparently. So does Danny DeVito at that point in the movie where he makes himself a really classy looking ham sandwich.
Yeah.
We'll get there. So he pours the Pepsi in the glass with the lye, and it's like bubbling to where any normal human being would be like, "There's something suspect going on in this cup." And so she lifts it up, takes a sip of it. "Mama, no!" She takes a sip of it. Cut back to reality. He didn't actually poison her yet. But she does have the glass in her hand still. And then he goes, "Mama, no!" Smacks it out of her hand. And she goes,
You clumsy fat fuck.
something like, she's always calling him a fat ass. It's pretty horrible.
She calls him a clumsy poop.
You clumsy poop!
Yeah. She calls him fat,
Yeah,
like
lard
multiple
ass.
times in the movie, lard ass.
Come on, move it, lard ass! Piece up every piece!
It's like, what is wrong with this
She
woman?
tells him to move your fat little ass or I'll break it for you.
You know, it's interesting because he lives just with his mom, and you get the little bit of information about Danny DeVito's dad, but we don't really know what happens to him at all and why he's stuck with his mom, but she fucking resents him for some reason.
His mom probably murdered him and buried him in the
Oh,
backyard.
probably. Oh, yeah,
doesn't
like what you
stink up
said
the place.
Don't stink up the place.
Yeah, so then we cut from there to Billy Crystal's writing class.
Yep.
Where this middle-aged woman is reading her, like, this beautiful story that she's written. And the whole class goes, "Yes," and claps for her. And Billy Crystal's like, whatever, you fucking suck.
Yeah, so Owen sees the stack of stories sitting on his desk because Larry's going through and reading them all. Owen moves his from the bottom of the pile to the top. And you can see it's very thin.
The one that he reads is that guy's, the one guy that's just, "Women I want to pork."
Yeah.
It's entitled 100 Girls I'd Like to Pork.
The fucking dumbest shit. And it's just like, chapter 1, a person's name.
Yeah.
Chapter 2, another person's name.
Kathleen Turner, Suzanne Plachette.
Oh, Kathleen Turner, yikes. Wonder what she looks like now.
He finishes the pervert's story, and then he picks up Owens off the top, looks at it for a second, and then throws it back on the pile and moves on to the next story. So Owen's like, "What the fuck?" And we follow Larry over to the laundromat where he's inside folding his laundry while it's pouring rain outside. And all of a sudden you see Danny DeVito standing in the pouring rain, staring at him through the window. And he comes in holding a black cloth behind him, walking really slowly as it plays ominous music.
Like zoomed in. He's always got like the craziest dead-eyed stare like every time, and he pulls it up, gets ready to strangle him, and he goes, "You left your tie outside." He's like, "I saved it before it got too wet."
Yeah, I was afraid it might get ruined.
Afraid it would be ruined.
Ruined. He says, "Why didn't you like my story?" He's like, because it's a murder mystery, and you only have 2 characters, and it's only 3 pages long." Yeah, and Danny DeVito just becomes fascinated with him. Now, he tries.
And he says one of the things is, he's like, "It wasn't motivated." Sure it was. The guy in the hat killed the other guy in the
Killed
hat.
the other guy in the hat.
It wasn't motivated. Sure it was. Guy in a hat killed the other guy in a hat.
You go back to him writing because he's trying to rewrite his story. So he's sitting there pecking away on the typewriter, and then Mama comes in and just slams her hand down on the typewriter.
You're trying to put me away again.
Holds out a little turkey baster, but
Yeah.
not really a turkey baster. But she's like, I got a wax ball in my ear. Get it out. And she just slaps him in the face and tells him that the typing, you know how that typing upsets me? She just starts throwing insult after insult on him, telling him he's going to be nothing.
She said every time he types, he says, Mom, it's for my writing class. And she's like, you're trying to put me away.
You're writing a letter to tell them to take me away.
Every single time it's the same shit. So then Danny DeVito takes her upstairs to the bathroom, and he's like running the water and flushing the wax out of her ear, and she's like, I can't stand the sound of that typewriter. And he grabs this pair of scissors and he goes, don't worry, Mama, you'll never have to hear that again. And stabs her straight through the ear. She comes up, and it scissors through the ear, and then it cuts back. And it's reality again. Just another daydream.
Mama, I think she got it, Sonny.
Sitting there, I think you got it, Sonny.
She hugs him. Yeah, it's weird. There's like multiple moments of like minimal sentimentality from her. But it's just like, I love you for doing all this shit for me. She's not a good person.
No, she's not.
I believe it jumps to school. Is it during class again or just at the lunchroom?
It's at the lunchroom.
Yeah, where
he's trying to meet that girl because he missed a date with her.
Yeah, who has virtually no character arc whatsoever, other than she's woman that exists in Billy Crystal's life. Love interest. Yeah, so they're in there talking, and honestly, this woman should not be interested in Billy Crystal at all because all he does is mope about his ex-wife and how miserable she is. He's like, I fucking can't stand her. She stole my life. She's like, I don't want to hear about this anymore. Like, that's her only dialogue. And then he's like, I just want to kill her. And the whole table looks over at the same time.
Because the one guy from his class says, hey, I saw your wife on TV.
And she's like, who is that? He's like, oh, that's my whole writing class. And creepy pervert dude looks over and goes, what's your name? And he's like, don't get any ideas. You're not putting her in that book.
Yeah.
What's your name?
Beth Ryan.
She teaches anthropology.
Beth Ryan?
Don't even think about it.
For a minute, and he screams about wanting to kill her. And Danny DeVito's like, oh.
Yeah, it zooms in on him real quick as he makes the realization. There's a class right after that. To read Owen's, he starts to read Owen's second story.
That he wrote underneath his covers.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, because after the typewriter thing, he promises Mama she'll never hear the typewriter again. So now he has to write under the covers with a flashlight about the guy in the hat. Billy Crystal starts his story, and he reads the first sentences, the night was humid. And that's the same beginning that he came to after supposedly years of trying to write a book.
He switches up between that and moist.
Yeah.
It was moist but dry. He goes, class dismissed.
Yeah, and then they just take off.
Yeah.
And then Owen stalks him outside of his apartment.
He's standing there. It's like the Exorcist shot. He's next to the. He's standing there right next to the post, and he looks up at him. And then he's laying on the brick outside of his house, waiting on him to come out. And Billy Crystal gets in his car and drives off. And Danny DeVito follows him, and he goes to meet the blonde woman from lunch at the children's train set.
For whatever reason.
At the playground. And, like, they're sitting in the train car or whatever, and she's just, like, wanting to jump his bones right there in the middle of this public park.
Yeah.
She says all these really weird lines to him about it. Later on in the movie, they're, like, doing it, and they're reading a children's book about a train. So she's definitely some kind of weird.
It's a little weird.
They're in there, and she starts, like, making out with him, and Billy Crystal's like, I can't have sex with you right now. I have writer's block.
I can't.
What?
I have writer's block.
And she's like, what are you talking about? And he, like, the thing is, you think she would be put off because all he's doing is talking about his fucking ex-wife. She's like, nope, I'm still ready to jump your bones. Yeah. So they start making out or whatever, and Danny DeVito's sitting in the other car, and he just bites a potato chip super loudly. They turn around, and he just waves at him.
He's like, what the hell are you doing? He's like, did you read my book?
what didn't you like about it?
And he's like, did you like it?
No!
And then it cuts to him in bed and his phone rings and it's Owen. He's like, why didn't you like it? So then they meet up in front of
Outside the old abandoned
store.
grocery store that has no aisles in it. And just like, you can clearly see the whole thing's been stripped out.
But it's all the lights are on.
Yeah, it's because it's a pretty shot.
Yeah.
Gives you some depth. Yeah, so he's talking to him a little bit. What didn't you like about your story? And Billy Crystal explains to him, you only have 2 characters in your story. You can't build a murder mystery around 2 characters when you could solve it right away. And he says you can't give away motive.
Yeah.
He said the person can't have motive because then that's how they get caught. And he's like, you should watch an Alfred Hitchcock movie.
Yeah.
Which apparently
he's just trying to get him to think creatively.
Yeah, exactly. He says watch the Alfred Hitchcock movie. Never once says Strangers on a Train. So, Hitchcock directed how many freaking movies? But Danny DeVito knows. Let's go to the local theater, which apparently in 1987 was showing Strangers on a Train. Danny DeVito goes to watch Strangers on a Train in one of the best scenes in the movie that
That's
I loved
great.
quite a bit.
It's like he gets hypnotized by the scene and just all of a sudden it clicks in his head because in the conversation outside of the store, Danny DeVito is like, yeah, your ex-wife, she really ruined you.
Mm-hmm.
But I couldn't kill her because I'd get caught. So then he brings up, I got a similar problem with my mama. So then that's how he brings it into the story. Like, okay, just draw in your own personal life and see how it fits.
Mm-hmm.
And so then during the conversation in Strangers on a Train, that's when Owen just gets the look on his face like,
Criss-cross.
Criss-cross, this shit's on.
I took yours. Your wife, my father. Criss-cross. Some people are better off dead. Each one has murdered a total stranger. They swap murders. You do my murder. Criss-cross. I do yours.
Yeah, because in Strangers on a Train, he makes the comment. He's like, "You want to get rid of your ex-wife? I want to get rid of my father. Criss-cross. We'll kill the other one. Criss-cross." And it's really cool the way they cut it because they keep saying crisscross.
Criss-cross.
Crisscross. Danny DeVito's eating his popcorn in the theater. He's like, there's a lot of slow zooms on Danny DeVito's face. He's always got the stare,
The Belial look.
movie theater, and I can't remember where he runs into Billy Crystal
He
again.
calls him.
Yeah, and he
Says, hey, I think I know what you're trying to tell me.
Criss-cross. And Billy Crystal's just like,
He's just in the middle of trying to
Yeah.
get it on with love interest. So he's like, yeah, whatever. He's like, I'll call you in a couple days. Yeah, take your time. Yeah, just hangs up on him.
And then it shows Danny DeVito. He's at his house.
Hawaii, yeah.
He's at his house and he's got a Hawaiian shirt on the back of his thing. He says, "Don't worry, Mom, I'm going out for a couple days." And then you get that really shitty effect of the airplane flying across his Hawaiian t-shirt. Pulls up and he tells the taxi driver, "I'm just going to visit my aunt."
Yeah.
I don't know if he tells him to stay or not.
Yeah, he says, I'll be right back.
Yeah. So he creeps in on the house, and Billy Crystal's ex-wife is sitting at the table and she's like brushing her hair, and he slowly puts on these black gloves and he's like following her, and it's just got his hands like this, out shaking the whole time, and she's like doing that, and then all of a sudden you hear something, and it's her pool boy outside of the house coming inside. He jumps behind the table.
Start getting it on her in the
Chihuahua
pool.
style.
The gardener.
The Chihuahua style.
Oh god, yeah.
He starts like barking. He's like, bark, 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 bark. And Danny DeVito's just sitting there and he grabs one of the magazines off the counter and just starts reading it while he's laying there. And then the phone starts ringing. And Danny DeVito's like, and she's trying to grab the phone, and he just puts his hand up and slides the phone closer to her so she can pull it off the hook. Yeah, she answers and it's her publisher or some shit. And she says, doesn't she get invited to that boat party or whatever?
No, she's talking to him, and he says something. Yeah, I'll remember. I've got a book signing in Maui.
That's what it is.
She's
Yeah.
on the ferry.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Danny DeVito can't kill her there because of the thing, but he can go outside and make himself a sandwich.
Yeah, so he goes out and makes himself a sandwich while he's waiting for them to be done having sex, and then.
Which all the accoutrements are just laid out there. You've got your bread, your lettuce slices, everything. It's like, it's not just meat and cheese. It's a big old stack of sandwich. And then he hears he hears a car pull out somehow, and it cuts outside. You see her leaving in her car. Danny DeVito's like, oh shit, gotta go. And he just leaves the sandwich.
Presumably. He might have finished it on the way there. Because he told the taxi to wait for him. So
yeah. He was in there an awful long time, though.
So he follows her to the ferry.
Mm-hmm. In a really kind of cool handheld shot where it's like followed him up onto the boat, and then it goes from daytime to nighttime. And he's sitting on the boat next to her. And he makes like a passing remark towards her, but she like completely blows him off.
This is my first trip to the islands. As he offers her a candle to light a cigarette.
Candle to light her cigarette. But yeah, she's put off, and she goes.
This is my first trip to the islands.
Up on the top of the boat balcony. And he follows her up there with his goddamn black gloves again.
She drops her earring over the edge as he's creeping up on her.
Trying to strangle her again.
Yeah, so she bends over the rail to try to grab her earring, and he sees an opportunity, and he shifts his hands from grabby to pushy.
What is it? Baptismal push? So he goes to push her off, and you just get a cut to the earring, and then you hear a scream, and it cuts to one of the hula dancers screaming before she starts to dance, and that's all we get. We have no idea what happens on the balcony at all.
All that you intercut with Larry being all depressed about not being able to write. He's laying out on a rock in the ocean, near the ocean, just drinking a bottle of liquor. Trying to come up with a line,
A very uncomfortable position to sleep in. Yeah, so then he drives back to his place, and he's laying in his bed, and the phone rings, and it's Danny DeVito at the beginning of the best gag in the entire movie, where Danny DeVito calls him. He's like, "It's done. Criss-cross."
Yeah, you want anything from Hawaii?
Billy Crystal's like, "What the fuck?" And
then he's all hungover, so the first couple of times he even calls him, he's like, "What the fuck?"
And Danny DeVito's like, "Hang on a second. I gotta switch phones."
To be able to trace the call.
So they can't track us. And so then you cut back to Billy Crystal, and he's just like laying there half asleep. And then the phone rings again, and Danny DeVito's at an entirely different payphone.
Yeah, he goes from like in front of just some palm trees to like ocean front
with like a seashell cut out payphone. And he's talking to him again. He's like, "I did it, but I don't want to say what I did over the phone. But I murdered her."
All I can tell you is I killed her last night.
Crystal's like, "What? No way. There's no way you fucking killed her." And he goes, "Hang on." He hangs up the phone again, and it cuts back to Billy Crystal. He's like, Owen. Sits there for a minute, calls back at a completely different payphone again. Happens like 5 times.
Yeah, that's great.
The best one is like the 3rd or 4th one where it cuts to him and there's just a horse in the middle of the field. There's just a payphone in front of these horses.
From my wife.
I told you it's done. Nobody saw.
What the hell are you talking about?
Criss-cross, like in the movie.
But yeah, he tells him, he's like, "Just like the movie, we did it, Criss-cross." He's like, "Now I'm going to come back, meet me on this road." And he's like, "As soon as we meet, you can kill my mom."
Yeah, he's like, "We'll discuss your end of the bargain."
He's like, "What are you fucking talking about?" Like, Billy Crystal has no idea what the hell is going on. Yeah. But he doesn't believe that she's dead. And he says, "Oh shit, I don't have an alibi." And so he drives to his buddy's house, who we're introduced to a little earlier in the movie.
I think he just lives in the same apartment complex.
So he drives there, and he goes and knocks on his door, and the dude's like having sex with his girlfriend. And he's like, "Can I borrow your car?" And the guy's like, "Sure." He's like, "You have an alibi for me, right? I was at the club until 1 o'clock in the morning last night." And he's like, "Yeah, huh?" He's like, "So there's no way I could have gone to Hawaii. There's no way I could have done that." And his girlfriend's like, "Well, technically you could have made it to Hawaii if you would have taken this plane at this time."
Yeah, because she's a flight supervisor.
Yeah. She's like, "And you could have flown back into LAX and been back to your house by 7 a.m. And Billy Crystal's like, "Oh, fuck."
Yeah. He goes and sees his love interest first.
Oh, that's what it was. Yeah, to tell her about the situation.
Yeah, to tell her he's in really deep shit. And she gets upset with him. She gets nauseous. And she just gets upset. Like, that's her job.
Yeah.
And then
she has no other arc in the movie whatsoever.
He says, "One little murder and I'm Jack the Ripper."
One little murder and I'm Jack the Ripper.
Crystal's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do now. And so he leaves the house. He leaves her house and then goes to meet Danny DeVito.
Yeah, he's about to go home when he sees the cops are there.
Yeah.
So then he's like, oh shit.
Talking to some random shirtless guy on the side of the road. So then he drives there and Danny DeVito gets out of like a cab or like a bus and he runs straight to his car. He goes, get in the car. And they get into a really wacky chase scene.
Yeah.
Which isn't a chase because they're not running from anything.
Well, he convinces...
Yeah.
He's telling him, you've got to turn yourself in. He's like, no, you got to kill my mama. He's like, no. He's like, it was part of the plan. He's like, there is no plan.
Yeah.
He's like, what the hell are you talking about? And tells Danny DeVito, you got to turn yourself in or I'll kill us both. And he just steps on the gas. And they start hauling ass down the road. And
he said, you're going very fast.
He's like, I don't like to go fast, Larry. He's like, are you gonna turn yourself in? Are you gonna do it? Are you gonna do it? And he finally says, yeah. But then the brakes go out on the car, and they just start careening into traffic and going through a tunnel. And
the tunnel's great because there's these really flimsy signs up. And there's a semi going head on, and the whole time we're just like, dude, pull over and run the signs over. James Bond move around the truck, and then they come outside, and he swerves into the side of the cliff, and they start going down into the trees.
Like
and all you can see is the green, like the shrubs and everything going around it. And they start having a random conversation.
Like, you're originally from the East, aren't you? He's like, what?
Billy Crystal's like, what the fuck? And then, oh my God, Danny DeVito has this great line about this.
This is great. It's like the Flintstones,
car wash. Yeah.
Good. It's like the Flintstones car wash.
Pull back around and he drives a little bit further and he manages to crash the car into the palm tree because that's when Billy Crystal decides to move in to Owen's house to kind of wait it out.
Hide out and convince Owen to turn himself in, basically.
Yeah. And then we cut to the police station where the police officers are interviewing the entire classroom.
Oh, yeah.
One by one, and they're saying, what did he say about
He called her a slut.
Called her a slut.
I hate her. I wish she was dead.
And it's literally like 8 people back to back to back.
Dead. Yeah, I heard him. He said, I hate her. I wish she was dead. That's what he said.
I hate her. I wish she was dead.
And then the next person they interview is the friend.
Yeah.
Who borrows his car. He's like, I don't know where he went. He said, talking about something about alibis and motives. Yeah, and he cuts back to him and he's like, he took my car this morning, but I don't have any idea where he was going. So, cuts from there. And then the last person they interview is love interest. And they bring her in and she's like, I don't know anything about the whole situation. He didn't even kill her. Yeah. And the guy's like, what are you talking about? And she's like, yeah, he knows who the killer is, but he wouldn't tell me.
Yeah.
And, like, it's so funny. They're acting like no one would actually act in a situation that's ridiculous. But, yeah, so she says, he wouldn't tell me who the killer was, but it's, like, he said murder for hire. He said, so he did a murder for hire? Not really. Won't give away any of the information, but it's enough for them to be like, okay. So then it cuts back to Owen and Larry. Owen introduces Larry to Mama for the first time.
Oh God, yeah.
Back at the house, they're in there, and I can't remember.
They're having breakfast.
Eggs a la Owen.
Yeah, they're having breakfast, and then Mama starts yelling from the other room, "What the hell's going on in there?"
Cousin Patty's visiting.
So she walks in. She's like, "Who the hell is this?" She's like, "This is Cousin Patty. He's gonna stay with us for a couple of days." You don't have a cousin Patty. She's like, "You lied to me." And
With us for a while, isn't that nice?
You don't have a cousin Patty.
You lied to me.
hits him with the frying pan.
Yeah, but fucking Danny DeVito hits Billy Crystal just right there. Yeah, that would have probably caused severe head trauma.
Oh, yeah, he'd be dead.
Yeah, but he just knocks out. She just walks out of the room and he goes, "Oh, come on, let me get you an ice pack."
Owen keeps trying to convince him to kill her. Like, you don't like her, do you? Go ahead and kill her. You don't have to blow her brains out or anything.
He's like, she's got a weak ticker.
Yeah.
He said, all you got to do is shake her a lot when you talk to her. Billy Crystal hasn't had enough experience with her to know just like how much of a fucking nightmare that she is.
Still trying to convince him, and he's all pissed off at him he's still pissed off at him for killing his wife.
Mm-hmm.
So Owen's like, you want to see my coin collection?
That's
so he shows him his coin collection, which is just
hidden underneath a floorboard in his living room.
And it's just random coins changed that his dad let him keep. It's like some sappy story.
Mm-hmm.
And then Mama yells from the other room, Owen, food! She yells out this order of 2 soft-boiled eggs, some white toast with some grape jelly. God damn it! Don't burn the toast.
I'll break it for you. I want 2 soft-boiled eggs, white toast, and some of that grape jelly, God damn it, and don't burn the toast.
Kill her, Larry.
That is my only issue with the movie. I think it's really good, but that scene is trying to build you some sort of form of like empathy for Danny DeVito, but the whole time it's like it's never brought up again. You know nothing about the dad. You don't know why the mom hates him so much.
Yeah.
But you're just kind of like, oh, some cheese, but it's done really well. I mean, it's
it's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. It exists.
Yeah, it's not offensive.
He's like, this is a nickel.
Yeah.
This is another nickel.
nickel, quarter, penny.
This was when Dad took me to this concert.
Billy Crystal, Larry says he'll do it. He says he'll kill her.
Mm-hmm.
Fine, I'll do it. So it cuts to later that night.
When he goes bowling, right?
Yeah, and he's like, here, sneak out the window. I'm going to go bowling. And you break in and kill her. And so he throws him out the window. And he goes to try to sneak out and sneak in the window. And he can't do it. He runs into some rats.
Yeah, oh God, rats. He's like, this little fucker's trying to keep me locked in here.
Yeah, so then Owen lets him back in the house and tells him, all right, just go in there and smother her with a pillow.
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm going to go bowling. It's my alibi.
He said, what did he say? He said, I can't be an hour later than charge me an extra $1 for my lane.
If I'm late for my lane, they tack on an extra $1.
Okay, I gotta go because if I'm late for my lane, they tack on an extra $1.
Billy Crystal takes the pillow and he gets ready to start thinking about it. And then he puts it down and he starts talking to her. And
says, she's just laying there with her eyes open.
Yeah. It's like, listen, I think there's something wrong with your son. I think he's crazy. I think he killed my ex-wife and now he's trying to kill you.
Yeah.
Essentially. And then she just lets out a and she's sleeping with her goddamn eyes open.
Mrs. Lift.
I'm glad we could have this little heart-to-heart.
Yeah, so then he decides he needs to get the fuck out of there or get some evidence on Owen.
But he's got the string in the door.
Yeah, he finds some stuff. He goes to leave, knocking the string out that Owen put in the door. Because when Owen left, he closed the string in the door so that he would know when Larry left after killing Mama.
Mm-hmm.
So he's tearing through the house after that. Trying to find any evidence against Owen. So he finds some Hawaii shit and then plane tickets. And he's like, yes, I got the evidence I need. But then right when he finds the evidence, there's a knock at the door and it's the cops.
Mm-hmm.
And so he fucking runs and hides. And you cut to Owen coming back from bowling with the police there. And they're like, we need to talk to you.
Can we come into your house? He's like, no, you really can't come in right now because my mom was really sick. But then he turns around and he sees the string has fallen out of the door, and so he's thinking, all right, I'm in the clear because he already left, he already killed her. And so he walks into the house and he goes, would you guys like some tea? I've got
he's like, you want to meet my mama?
Yeah. Oh yeah. So would you guys like some tea, some Earl Grey or some Darjeeling?
Orange Pico.
We've got orange Pico. We've got Irish breakfast. We've got Darjeeling.
So he goes into the pantry and Billy Crystal's in there hiding. He's like, what the fuck? And he goes to pick out the tea, but for some reason he keeps trying to direct one of the cops to go in there where Billy Crystal is.
Because he's pissed. Because he finds out Mama's still alive. Yeah. You hear her yell from the other room, and the cop is like, let's get back to Larry. He's like, yes, let's get back to him. Then that's when he sends the cop in the pantry.
It's the longest gag ever. He keeps sending him in for sugar and stuff. And he keeps redirecting the cop's question. He goes, so tell me about Tell me about Larry. What did Larry think about his ex-wife? He goes, oh, he never said a terrible thing.
Yeah.
He said she was an angel.
Yeah, he loved his wife.
Never mind, officer. I have some tea right here on the table.
Yeah.
He goes, but you know what I do need? Some crackers. You want to go in there and get or some sugar? That's what it is. Go in there and get it for me. He's like, no, you don't want this tea. You want the Darjeeling.
But then Owen's about to give up Larry, and Mama saves the day. Just as the cop pulls the sheet back over the pantry, Mama busts open the door, and she's like, "You did it, didn't you, Owen?
You did it. You're finally gonna put me away.
Yeah, you brought them to take me away." And then she yells and chases the cops off the property.
Mm-hmm.
And after they finally leave, she just screams, "Owen, you're grounded!" Slams the door.
You're grounded!
Manages to get out seemingly unscathed for the moment.
Yeah.
So then Danny DeVito is pissed that Mama's not dead, and so he tries to schedule it out for him to do it again, right?
Yeah, he goes and takes the hinges off of the basement door because that's where she hangs her shawl every night. And
tells her just to push her.
Yeah. So he leaves, goes bowling, does the string again and everything, and then Mama comes up. She wakes up and yells for her bath, and she's pissed that Owen's not there.
And she sees Billy Crystal.
I want my Owen. I want my bath. He's like, I'll get it for you.
Who the hell are you? I can hang my own shawl.
So he's yelling at her, no. So she hangs up her shawl on the basement door and elbows it, and nothing happens. And he's like, what the hell? And he grabs the door, and as soon as he does,
we get a Home Alone shot.
The door falls, and he slides down the basement stairs and slams into some shit.
For way too long. Considering it's like a really small set of stairs, but it cuts to Billy Crystal. Flies right off.
And then Mama comes to the top of the stairs and just says, pain in the ass.
So then Danny DeVito comes home for bowling. She goes, your friend's downstairs. He's a rotting corpse.
You've been had an accident. He's dead.
Get him out of here before he starts smelling up the place.
Yeah. He's like, oh, my friend. She's like, my friend.
Making fun of him again.
Yeah. Go bury him in the yard before he stinks up the place.
That shit's so fucking funny. Yeah, so he goes down there to check on him. He's not dead.
No, he doesn't go check on him. He thinks he's dead. He's pissed.
Yeah.
So Mama goes to take a nap. And then Owen grabs a case, and you just see shadows, and you hear. And then you see him sneaking up on Mama while she's sleeping, and you slowly see the shadow of him raising something. And then he just starts blowing some kind of horn, a bugle or something.
And she goes
right in her ear. And he just lays into her for like a good 30 seconds. And then she's just, Schwarzenegger's out.
It's such a good close-up shot.
Yeah, it's great. And as she finishes off and falls over, Billy Crystal stumbles up the basement steps. And he's like, Larry, you're alive.
And then we cut back to Mama, and she wakes up with one of the other greatest lines in the movie.
Yeah.
I had a dream that Louis Armstrong was trying to kill me.
Holy shit, what a dream I was having.
Holy shit! What a dream I was having! Louis Armstrong was trying to kill me!
Hits Billy Crystal in the nards. And
right in the nuts.
Yeah. And then you cut over to the next morning. Owen's sitting in his pajamas on the floor with a train set built around
right outside.
As he's playing, like throwing things into the back of the train, just like ringing the bell, ding, 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 ding. And just acting like a little kid playing with his train set.
There's really a lot of references to strangers on the train in this movie, a ton.
And then Larry's passed out on the floor, and Mama turns on the TV, and it's the news. And it's talking about how Larry's wanted in suspicion of murder of his ex-wife.
There's a murderer in my house.
So she freaks out and she calls the cops. He has to take off, and he's going to Mexico. He has to run. So Larry brings Mama, and they're going to Mexico on the train with him.
and such a funny shot. It's hot in here.
Yeah. They're just... Larry's kind of come to terms with everything. He's like, it's okay, whatever. You know, it's all about writing. Maybe this is the whole reason. Like, I can't even come up with a good story. Mm-hmm. They make a joke about the night was humid, the night was moist. And then Mama's picking apart her peanuts and she says, the night was sultry.
The night was sultry. I'm getting the hell out of here.
And he gets just fucking pissed.
You just see everything he's tried to do. That's the line he really needed for his book. And he's just like, she gets up and she says, it's too goddamn sultry in here. So he's like, I'm going to kill the bitch.
I love it though. I love it though. She's like, shut up, murderer.
Yeah. Yeah, and the whole time he's chasing her. Get away from me, you murderer.
And then she starts like smacking on all the train rooms. There's a murderer on the train.
Wake up, you nutheads. There's a murderer. Don't you know there's a murderer on the train, you bingo bastards.
And she runs all the way to the very back train car. And Billy Crystal walks up on her and he's like, looks like he's going to go take her out. And then she starts to fall.
Like, I'll show you something sultry.
I can't believe that of all the things in the movie, the thing that sets him off is that she stole his line.
Yeah.
So he chased her there and she almost falls off the train and he catches her. And then Danny DeVito's running after her because he has a moment of like clarity where he's like, don't kill my mom.
Yeah.
Like he can't go through with it even though she's the evil bitch.
Because the peanut shells.
Yeah, the peanuts. Yeah, so he runs after her and there's this really goofy like Three Stooges moment of like them holding her like she's falling off. Cuts to like a green screen shot where it's her face like, oh my god!
Somehow she's upside down now. It's ridiculous.
It's hilarious, yeah. And it goes on for a few minutes where she almost falls out. They pull her back in. And is it Billy Crystal that pulls her back on the train or Danny DeVito?
Danny DeVito falls over and then Billy Crystal pulls her in at the
It's
last
right
second.
before she hits that sign that's coming up. Her head's hanging out. And yeah, so he pulls her back on the train and Crystal gets up and he falls.
He's like, he says, are you okay? She says, get away from me, you rat bastard.
Yeah.
And kicks him in the chin.
Yeah.
Off the train and lands on his back.
And Danny DeVito just goes, bye, Larry.
Bye.
And then it cuts to Larry in the hospital and he's watching TV and his ex-wife never actually died.
Yeah, and Danny DeVito didn't push her either. She just fell off the boat. And then, some guy saved her and nursed her back to health. And then at the end of the news story, they say, she's selling the movie rights of her ordeal for $1.5 million.
And she's engaged to marry the guy who saved her life. Yeah, and he's so pissed about it. And the old guy in the bed next to him in the hospital is like, I'm going down the hallway to get something to eat. I can't hear you talk about this shit anymore.
Yeah. So then you have... he has a dream that he goes to murder his ex-wife. And he goes into the room and he grabs her by the throat and pins her down to the ground. And it's like real, like, pretty intense for how the rest of the movie has been.
For sure.
Pretty intense. He's got his hands around her throat, strangling her. And it cuts back and forth between him and her face. And then it cuts back to where her face should be and it's him again. He's just strangling himself. Then he wakes up.
That's
and it's like, that's the moment of realization. Like, oh shit, I'm using all my energy to
I can never be
I'm killing myself.
Never be a good writer again until I let go of the past. Already happened. He can't do anything about it anymore.
So he immediately picks up a pen and paper and starts writing his new story, just about the experience of everything that just happened.
Takes his own advice from early on in the movie. Exactly. It's that elderly man that reads his story that everybody loves.
Yeah.
He says,
write what you know.
Yep, write what you know. Live from your own experiences. So so he writes that, and then you see him up in his office. And we cut to the daytime exorcist shot again of his phone rings, and it's Danny DeVito. He calls him on the phone, and he's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a while. And he goes, I'm right outside. And he looks right out there, and he goes, oh, come on in. I haven't seen you in forever. And so he comes into the house, and Danny DeVito's like holding this bag, and he's like saying, oh, it's been a year. How's Mama been? And he's like, oh, she passed. And he goes, oh, did you finally kill her? He's like, no, natural causes. So they start talking for a minute, and he tells him that he's got a book coming out tomorrow.
Yeah, because Larry says, oh, I'm a paragraph away from finishing my novel. This is great. And then that's when he says, yeah, you know, I have a book that's getting published. It'll be on the stands in 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, starts telling him what it's about. It's about me and you and Mama and our experiences together. So then Larry just starts losing his shit because that's what his book
What's
is
the title
about.
of the book? It's like Me and
Mama
Mama
and Owen and Owen's friend Larry.
That's it. Which how a publishing company would allow a book to be published? That would never happen. Yeah, so he starts fucking strangling him. He like grabs Danny DeVito. He goes, "What the?" Fuck
Yeah, he calls him a slut,
Yeah,
just like he's calling his wife.
And Danny DeVito's like, "I want to show you something. I want to show you something." And he pulls it out, and it's a children's pop-up book.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's not graphic. It's just like
he cuts out all the death.
Mm-hmm. Cuts out all the negative parts of the story, and it's just about their adventures together.
Yeah.
Very sweet and wholesome. And then Billy Crystal is like, pulls back and is like, "Hey, this is cool. I can still publish my novel." Which just goes to show Billy Crystal's kind of an asshole in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it sucks that he got his story stolen, but he's really only in it for himself. Yeah, so then it cuts to them on the beach, and love interest is on the beach reading Billy Crystal's book. And she goes, "I love it. It gets better every time I read it." You're like, oh, God. But I don't like the last line. That's Danny DeVito says he doesn't like the last line. I can't remember what he says.
He says, it's cryptic.
Yeah. She goes, "You know what? He is right. It's hard to understand." And Billy Crystal makes a really vulgar comment about Danny DeVito being fat.
He makes a few of them.
Yeah. And they're like...
Sancho
Panza. And then they're like snorkeling, and then we get the music cuts, and then it's credits.
This movie.
It's great.
If you haven't seen this movie, you're missing out on one of the best performances of Danny DeVito's career.
And we also can't sell it enough how great some of these gags are. Like, you could talk about them, but until you like watch the gags play out, it's so good. Some of them, like the comedic timing in this movie is really well done.
Yeah, we can't do it justice.
No, not at all.
And some of the subtext too that's going on in the movie, like the very first scene, just having him trying desperately to come up with the beginning to his story is just so awesome.
Yeah, it's good. The screenplay is really good. Like, there's a lot of really good cutbacks to like the themes of like you said, write from your experiences, and how his writer's block all comes from the fact that he can't let go of his past. It's really good.
Yeah,
I liked it a lot. Definitely recommend this one. Really great, easy watch, under an hour and a half. Especially right now when we're on lockdown, it's nice to have a laugh.
Stay the fuck away from me.
Yeah, you stay the fuck away from me. Pretty soon the doctors are going to come down and force feed us our medication.
They told me I could drink hand sanitizer and everything would be okay.
So it not only cleanses the outside of the body, but it cleanses the inside of the body. It puts the hand sanitizer on the skin, or else it gets the hose again.
You fucker.
Thanks again for stopping by, everybody. We'll be back real soon.
Maybe.
If they don't kill us first here in quarantine. We have to watch the same Blu-ray again, don't we?
Yeah, but I think you could watch it in Spanish this time.
Let's watch it with the commentary track.